Welcome to another edition of the NASChat podcast. This morning, our very special guest is a guy you'll all be aware of. He's been a chairman for many, many years of a very big and successful club. A massive fan of ladies racing. Let me introduce you to Lance Bowen. Welcome to the show.
Cheers, Ant. Thank you for the invite.
So, Lance, let's get straight into it. You're a busy guy.
Yeah.
Long history in the sport. Long family history in the sport.
Yeah. Father, twice national champion.
Dad, 2 times national champion. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's start right there. Tell us a bit about Martin.
So when did he start? 76, I think he started. Just after, it started going 74, 75, shared a car with Russ Tyler, obviously one of his good friends.
Russ, I mean, what a name.
Yeah, always did Dad's engines, did my helped us out massively, can't thank him enough. Don't get me wrong, they were fast engines when you got them, but you were never fast getting them.
Yeah, well, that's just the trade. If you're a chassis manufacturer or an engine builder, you have, you've got the right to be late. But just going back to Russ, I mean, he was, when it comes to mini engines, was there anybody better?
No. He was the man in his day, wasn't he? Like, I think it was 8 champions in 1 year across all classes. So yeah, Dad's friendship with Russ definitely got him going, and they did various projects together. Always a mini man. The old man was a mini man, really, and cut his teeth in that. Won the nationals then. I was born in 82. At the end of 82, my first nationals was Knutsford. Obviously, it was. I don't remember it myself, but apparently it was rough. And the old man won his first title then at Knutsford. Continued on, then moved. Stayed in Class 6, moved from a mini to a pickup, which was probably one of the very first pickups. And in fairness to him, smart in its day. Dad's cars were smart, but more plain then, just Ludlow colours. He moved. So it was plain red, white, and that pickup was around for a long time. He won the nationals in that then in 85 at Ludlow at home. And then that was about it for Class 6. I had a bit of sabbatical, did a move to Class 5, did some in Class 5 then. The pickup then got passed on to John Duggan, local Ludlow man, and carried on for many years.
Again, another family synonymous with Autograss.
Yeah, and Ludlow Club, they were very good for Ludlow Club at the time. Had a bit of a break, come back with a Renault 5, which is a bit of an odd thing, rear-wheel drive, Sprite engine in the back, built on the cheap, because Dad, in fairness, built all his cars himself. Yeah. Taught me massively amounts.
Yeah, but truthfully, though, in the day...
We did.
Yeah, everyone did. Occasionally cars sold, but not often. And the only real, if I'm going to say there was a manufacturer in the game, he was from your neck of the woods anyway, would have been Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, Bruce, the Carter, built the Hereford Bulls, I suppose. There was
of course,
4 or 5 of them.
Bull.
Yeah. So Dad built his own car. The Renault 5 always amused me. I was probably old enough then to know more what was going on, and this car was built under a sheet in the garage over 12 months, and parts were acquired, trips backwards and forwards to Russell, all without Mum knowing.
Yeah.
Because we can't... I remember Mum sort of selling the pickup. It was like, we sold that pickup. And he was like, oh, right, okay, Mum, pickup sold. And so the car was built under a sheet, and then I think he rolled it out in about 1989. Yeah. Just like rear-wheel drive Class 5, which weren't a thing then, and definitely not his thing.
No. So, and I know Dad would have competed with your dad in Class 5 back then, because Dad had just started with the Kawasaki Imp. So
it'd been similar.
So we brought that out in the very end of the season, 87, but Dad then did 88 and 89 with it. But as you say, if you're going to go back to the rear-wheel drive cars, you was in reality, my dad, Pete Ellis, your dad. Pete's obviously fell foul to the 16 valve ban, which came about just before your dad's Renault, because there was putting BDAs and stuff in them.
Yeah, exactly.
And then that got changed. The bike engine was allowed to continue in 2 valve, but the BDAs was gone.
Yeah, and we were on a Sprite engine, which is basically mini engine. It's just an inline mini engine. Out of a Sprite, same thing, innit?
Yeah.
All MG.
Moggy Thou,
exactly, yeah. Coupled with the classic Renault box, not Renault box, sorry, Transporter gearbox at the time. And it was BMW back arms, bit of a homemade front end, HA van actually. I think the front end was, or Viva van, one or the other.
In truth, if that was on a BMW rear end, that was ahead of its time. Because there were no one was really running that setup.
Swing arm, yeah. Swing arm rather than like sort of links and things.
Because the majority of the guys in 5 then that was running on the old sort of, so for you guys at home, the Volkswagen Beetle stroke transporter gearbox, very similar. We used to flip them upside down, turn the diff over so it went the right direction. Because in a Volky, it were in front of the engine, wasn't it?
Yeah, with reduction hubs and stuff. And it, like kept on about.
Now you're going back, split screen.
Yeah, I don't remember that myself, but yeah.
But of course, you know, that sort of inline setup very often ran the original torque tube sort of swing axle.
Yeah, I remember the Class 8s at the time had it, didn't they?
Yeah. So your dad's was to be on swing arms and shafts and CVs was like ahead of the game.
Yeah, and what we could find, I guess, at the time is, I think we did a lot of BMs in the garage. Dad had a garage, so he liked that sort of 3 Series BM. We always seemed to have 3 Series BMs. I guess it come out of one of them he probably trashed somewhere, knowing the old man. So it was a accumulation of parts, and it went all right. Car was all right, really. I think he qualified for the Nationals in 90 with it.
Yeah.
And then couldn't go through, he had appendicitis.
Oh, right.
So appendix come out, and it was literally 1990 Nationals, so we missed that. I remember Russell borrowing the car and having a go in it. And as Russell did, as we had one leg, so we had to fit the drain tube on the throttle pedal. Then he'd left foot brake when he was. Yeah. I'd never really seen Russell drive a wheel drive before that point. And after 6 fence posts come out the ground, I sort of remember maybe he was like, maybe he should drive a Mini again.
Yeah.
But so and I think,
but I mean, what a guy though. I mean, obviously engine builder, but to continue racing with one leg and be as fast as he was. And let's face it, today, we'd call it a weight advantage today, and we'd just fit a hand clutch or whatever. But back in them days, even adapting things, linkages and mechanisms, the stuff that we take for granted, we just grab a motorbike master cylinder and we do this. It wasn't available.
No, he was. It was all about the drain pipe for the leg and left foot braking for us, wasn't it? Or no braking sometimes.
Yeah, I think none. Yeah,
but so he was. He's a big influence on my childhood as Russell. You learnt some stuff in his engine shops and things like that.
I mean, you with the area you're from, obviously started going back. Let's go back to the Jalopy or the Bedstead days. So we're talking pre NASA. It was your area. I mean, I know you're too young, but your area was the heart of Autograss.
Oh, very much.
See, we still refer to it. So we're like I very often refer to it as grassing, and I know some people do. But up here, it was grass track racing. Whereas even though we shared that title with bike grass track, because sidecar outfits and speedway long track was massive up here, particularly Lincolnshire.
Yeah, not so much for us, is it?
Yeah. So you was in the heart of what we know as Autograss. And I know a lot of my guests, and one in particular who you guys will probably have seen the podcast by the time this comes out, Julie Fernio, she very often pulls me up on because I call it grassing and she's like, it's Autograss. Because where you're from, it's all. But up here, if you think about the league I grew up racing in, the Lincolnshire League, the CGTRO, it's Car Grass Track Racing Organisation. Because we're grassing up here, you know what I mean?
Well, you've got stadiums up here, haven't you? Like, we're obviously being from Hereford, there is no stadiums.
Well, you're just spoilt with land.
Yeah, there's plenty of land, but there's lack of stadiums. I'm in a very fortunate situation now where I live directly opposite the Nationals 96 field, and I have 4 tracks within 15 minutes of my house. Yeah. And I know boys up here, an hour is nothing to travel, is it?
Oh, no. I mean, for me, for a club meeting, the last couple of years I've been with Scarborough, but for me, travelling for the Lincolnshire League, we need an hour and a half to spare for a club meeting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, travel there.
Scarborough's my local, and it's only just up the road, but everything, the closest. I live at York, and York's track's 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So we do the track. But you've also... what I was sort of alluding to, the characters that you've grown up around from your area have moulded Autograss. It's been moulded from the Midland League out almost, hasn't it? Do you know what I mean?
I think it started down south. The variations, as you say, grass tracking up here and stuff like that. But as we know it, I think probably did originate Wales, West Midland League. It's all that area, map league, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of clubs in a small area. I think we're a 5-club league spread over a 30 mile, 40 mile radius.
It's also really easy to forget that if we go back to the MAP League and then yours being the West Midland League, you guys race together a lot because let's take Radford Autograss. He's only a stone's throw from the West Midland League. It's literally across the motorway, isn't it?
Yeah, so we neighbour each other. Westman League and Radford, or MAP Leagues, is neighbour each other. They're sort of based, I say, Worcester Evesham. We're based Herefordshire, or Hereford itself, and Leominster, as it's known. It's probably the hub.
Leominster. That's a local. Everyone calls it Leominster, apart from the posh people that live there.
Exactly. We're trying to bring the place up, you see. We'll have a KFC soon, the way it's going.
You won't.
No. But yeah, so we're like sort of based... the next biggest town, and the league's based around that, and we run basically from Worcester then through Herefordshire down to, we cover Raider and then probably Brecon, and then basically South Wales League then starts.
And you're not even far from the Wiltshire League as the as the crow flies, really.
No, we sort of back round onto them. Gloucester, Wiltshire, which are Stroud based for people who are in that area. They stretch down then Yate and Salisbury, Bristol. It's still Bristol is only an hour from us. We're very lucky. I think within an hour of us, we got 10 tracks or something.
You just need, if you're gonna visit, like we visit, you just need good hose clips on your turbo pipes, because when you're heading into Bromyard and that area, there's serious hill climbing to do. And it's like that the road never ceases to amaze me. I say this all the time. The road between Leominster and like Worcester, if you like, is it the 449 or
44?
44.
Yeah.
That road, like, it's like there used to be a film back when I was a kid, and it was something like Devil Drivers from Hell, and it was like all about lorry drivers who used to drive the back roads.
Well, Jeremy Clarkson did a program on it when it rode from Ghana.
Similar.
It's a very similar road.
But the amount of lorries and Arctics that goes down that little back road to Bromyard is absolutely crazy.
It's a busy road. You could go round the motorway route,
that
but nobody
would take
does.
the fun out of it.
Yeah, that was the fun in that.
So again, going sort of back to your heritage in that, particularly the club. So you started off really with Dad as a Ludlow member.
Yeah, Dad was Hereford originally because they all were. He lived the other side of Hereford. He was Hereford. He ended up in Ludlow through one of his other loves, which was women.
Yeah.
So we migrated to the other side of Hereford with said woman, which probably worked out well for me then, because after that he met my mum. So if he hadn't migrated the first time, so he moved to Ludlow. He moved to this side. And then from Ludlow, he went back to Hereford in 91. He raced from Ludlow then from, I think it was 82, pretty much from when I was born, right through to 90. And then he moved back to Hereford and then became probably what I think was probably his most iconic car, which was he ran his H3 and his yellow Mini in Class 5. Yeah, same thing again, home-built car, as he built all his cars, Russell engine as normal, and it was a return to front-wheel drive for him. And at the time, I suppose, like, he was quite a big character, especially in our league at the time. It was Martin's going back to front-wheel drive, and he was a successful car. If there would have been probably a Bass then, he would have been one of the main contenders.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because he was definitely a contender. Like, obviously now, and again for you guys at home, before the British Autograss Series started, the sport was based on 5 or 6 major open meetings a year already. We'd got like the England v Wales, the West Midland Open, the South Wales, North of England, Yorkshire Open, Fastest Man on Grass. Border Counties Festival came a little bit later.
Yeah, 90s.
Yeah, but they had those opens, and your dad was a major contender at all them opens, which is why, as you say, the yellow Mini particularly was like pretty synonymous, because it was just easy to recognise.
Yeah,
and cars were a lot simpler in them days. You know, there was no stickers. It was
it was sign written. I remember watching the local man spend hours sign writing the car. And
as a kid, I grew up down a one-way street in a little village in the middle of nowhere in Nottinghamshire, and our next door neighbour was the sign writer. And this guy drove a Dolomite Sprint, but my dad was pretty useful on a set of points and plugs. So we never went without on sign writing, because if Mr. Ridyard, Don Ridyard his name was, and he was the guy, like, you know, beautiful. So Dad's cars was always beautifully sign written, because we lived next door to the fella.
Yeah, there was a local. I can't remember the local man now from there, and it's an art, and you don't see it. Stickers have made it easy, and But H3 was his thing. Probably unlucky not to win the Nationals in 91. Things happen, reruns and stuff like that. Should have 92. He had a big accident in 92. He was on sort of unlucky. As the rear-wheel drive cars are coming through, I remember him collecting what is now a friend now, Mike Roberts, on the finish line in Weymouth 92.
Yeah.
Heavy impact, and that sort of ended that.
Weymouth Nationals as well, particularly. The layout of it made it a very fast track.
Yeah.
So any impact that week or any accident that weekend, particularly on the straights, was going to be big.
Yeah.
That meeting didn't go without its without its controversy, because there was a few incidents that weekend that sort of went down in Autograss history that we're not going to look back on. But again, a long travel as well. So even for you guys in the middle, and to travel all the way down to Weymouth for you guys,
back in the 90s.
I mean, for us, it was like we could have gone on a plane.
Yeah.
But for you guys to travel all the way down there and again to come home with damage, it's heartbreaking, especially when you was one of the favourites to win it.
Yeah, especially when you're travelling a Mark 1 Transit. You wouldn't dream of travelling a Mark 1
V4.
Transit. So that's sort of like, he carried on racing then. We moved, I'm not sure why, but we moved back to Ludlow then, and he became Lud 2, which is like quite a synonymous, like a big number for us locally. It was owned originally by a lad who is in Board Accounts with us now, Mark Shook, his dad. Yeah. And he not long died at the time. He, like, heroic accident, saved some people's lives, and ended up losing his own life for it.
Yeah.
So Mark was like, "Oh, we have Dad's number," and Dad was like, "Fine, yeah, really proud to become Lud 2," and he raced then Lud 2, and yet again very carried on with his minis. It was actually a fresh mini. H3 was sold, and he built himself another one, which I think he then kept for like the old man could keep a car
for a while.
Yeah, he got it so he kept that, and it stuck with Russell as he always did. He never deviated from there, and he won. He was finished second. I think probably one of his best races for me at the time. As I've sort of my memory's better then. I was just about starting the juniors, getting older, and he was second to Graham Blackburn at Map Open in '96, and he started last, and he come right through and finished second. And I thought like it was an impressive drive.
Graham, if we go back, I mean Graham Blackburn, obviously. Yeah. He's a multiple national and British champion, and still, to this day, you're never going to write Graham off in a slick Class 7 final. But back then, Graham had a combination that was absolutely dominant.
He was reigning, wasn't he, at the time? He was Graham. Did win great?
I think so. Yeah, because he won. Certainly prior to me going in class, Graham was reigning champion when I went in '99, but I think he had 2 or 3 back to back.
Yeah, he definitely. Yeah, but Graham was, and it was the rear-wheel drive era was starting.
Well, he had like the Crossflow Fiesta.
That was it. That was the car.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Then he went to the Vauxhall Micra. And then he went back to the Crossflow Fiesta.
Yeah, and the Vauxhall Micra went to Colin Chilverson. Which in fairness, the old man battled on with. He kept with the front wheel, never left. The rear wheel drives were coming. That was sort of coming to the end. Your Keith Allentons and stuff, and Carl Wilds were dropping away and disappearing, having families and kids, doing other things. And the old man kept on going. He did win the map, and he'll be the last. Obviously, he'll probably be the last front wheel drive mini to win the map in 2002, Queen's Jubilee. It was over 3 days.
3 days.
Yeah. And it rained on the Sunday, and it come to him, and out come the Olympics. I think he'd had them, however long. Yeah, in 2002.
I won my last final on Olympics at Penn Howe in 2004, and I bust one going over the finish line, and obviously couldn't get one. 175 R13 Olympics. That was the best tyre in the world.
They were mega used to having was juniors in the Class 1s.
So I'll just give a little technical insight to the guys at home. Class 5 that we're discussing, Lance's dad Martin was in Class 5 for many years. That is, it's one of the modified saloon classes, but it was sort of the class that mixed up front wheel and rear wheel drive. So back in the day, it was like 1340 cc.
3040 then, yeah.
So that allowed the 1340 minis to compete with the rear engine cars. And way back in the 80s, there's a few bike engines also integrated. My dad came along with a Sunbeam Stiletto with a Kawasaki. Tony Quinn with a front wheel drive Kawasaki. Stu Nichols with a Kawasaki Mini. And back then there was also allowed 16 valve. The 16 valve engine got banned. Or removed from the rules. I think banned's probably not the right term. And the class, and I do quite rightly, as Lance says, by 99, there was the cusp where the rear wheel drive dominance had really started.
It was coming when the front wheel drives couldn't get off the line. The rear wheel drives were quicker. I still think the front wheel drives were probably quicker on the track.
And if you got a track water, and I remember in 99 going down to South Wales for a double header bass round, and all of a sudden I'm alongside 2 of my great mates now, but didn't know them as well back then. So Endaf Owens and Dylan Hughes, who were both mini maestros, more so Endaf than Dylan.
Yeah, Dylan.
And those two guys, and I remember in one of the finals, and I think it was the Saturday final, and they watered the inside. I think it was a home watering.
No.
And that wouldn't happen in Wales.
No.
And I remember fighting off the edge of the cushion, and every time I looked over, Endaf's elbow was in the air, and he was coming down the inside. And then 99 Nationals, won by Abby Quinn in the wet, that changed the definition, because now a rear-wheel drive can win in the wet.
Yeah.
But again, Pete Saunders, Weymouth guy, was right there with the Mini.
All the time.
And as you say, I thought at the end of 99, that's probably it for the Minis. And then a couple of years later, your dad appears and bangs in a big one. And the map in 2002 was probably the biggest meeting of the year.
Yeah, it was a massive meeting, over 3 days. Yeah, really good meeting. And yeah, it was like good result, massive result, really. And then a pair of old Olympics, steel wheels, as he used to.
Yeah.
And then he raced 2003, qualified. I think he was... John Weeks might qualified as well. There was 2 minis in the final, and I think Dad and John Weeks were the 2 surviving minis, which obviously was the Ollie Howell car at the time. Big friends of Ollie Howell and Laura Blaber. And and that was sort of the end for Class 5 for him.
Well, also, after 2002 Nationals, so 2001 was the first Yorkshire Dales Nationals, but the one right up north.
Yeah.
2002 was PAC, big yumpy dirt track, probably was going to suit the rear-wheel drives. But 2003 was a big changing point. We'd had Landau in 2000, but 2003 was what I almost see as a turning point for the sport in venue layout.
Oh, great nationals.
And all of a sudden, this track appeared up at Thornborough, and it was a proper.
Yeah, big
obviously
track.
Still there 22 years later.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden then, any advantage, even if had it have been the wet, had gone. These tracks have now grown to such a size, and Dales have brought it back a little bit because it was huge to start
massive,
with.
Yeah.
And then, so the Mini's never going to compete with a Vauxhall. The CC limit change went 1421.
Yeah.
That only fell into the hands of the Vauxhall and the Peugeot.
More so, yeah.
And the odd
let
Lotus.
the 1400 Vauxhalls in, didn't it, really, rather than we was the 1300s.
And then the following year, we go to the biggest track in the world, Javelin Park. And from that point forward, the Minis, they were doomed, weren't they?
The old man gave up. He had good nationals in 2002 at Wales.
Yeah.
And a good national in 2001. I think he walked away with a trophy in 2001.
Yeah.
I'll never forget him and Colin Chilvers. He was quite a rival for him at the time. Colin was big in the rear wheel drive and the micro. They went to West Wales. I think it was the 30. The same game in Wales. They bladdered it. It was nice and wet. And Colin sat on that outside line, flying around the fence. The old man was round the tyres. Last corner, Colin decided to change. Massive push on, out to the start line. The old man said, "Thank you very much. I love that."
I remember the watering at the 2000, because if you remember the 2001 Nationals, that YD Nationals, they barely watered it all weekend for a brand new venue. And then when we all went down for Heat 3, they did like 3 Bowsers side by side. And it was almost like they prepared the track for the finals at the beginning of Heat 3.
Getting it ready.
Good forward thinking. But and I remember the conversation, and throughout this podcasting, the bleep machine gets used more in relation to me. And I remember the statement, and I was like, "Are you watering it or are you in it?" Because it looked like it went. And the third heats, literally the whole set of third heats was soaking for everyone. And they only watered it once.
Oh, right. Is that bad?
Yeah. But it was, I mean, again, the Nationals changed, didn't it? So we always, we travelled about. I was a fan of the Virgin venue, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah,
it brought the excitement.
The grass, isn't it? That's Saturday morning grass.
Yeah, terrible if he's in Class 1 and your mesh was stuffed full.
The Nationals was always Saturday morning grass, Class 1, Steve Langley.
Yeah.
That was
Nationals, absolutely. Yeah. And we obviously, I think what was the last Virgin venue probably was Stroud 2004.
Virgin venue, yes, not last grass, I suppose.
No, there's been grass. And I assume you'd have started on grass in 2015.
And I think Stroud did in 16 just about, didn't we? We run a Bass Run the year before, but nothing there that year. I
was having a sabbatical then.
Yeah. So that would have been the last where the tracks were not used until
previously.
the Nationals.
Yeah, because then obviously they started to put a few years. So Dale's had 03, 05, 07.
Stroud,
4, 6. You know, they were starting to, and which fit a Wales in between.
Yeah.
But it did change because all of a sudden these venues have become so fabulous.
Yeah.
You just got to keep going back.
And big venues are hard to find.
Yeah.
In any sport in it. And and you've got something, you've got a good venue.
I mean, you must have a tickle going with your farmer because you can just find the biggest fields in the Herefordshire area.
Yeah, that's what they call it, a tickle, yeah. but no.
So obviously, Dad's done his time.
Yeah, finished. That was
obviously,
he weaned off into class 4 then. Don't really talk about that much.
Yeah, he still had a 1420 in it.
Yeah, exactly. You know what he's like.
Obviously, you used to then share the car with your sister for a while.
Yes, she used to wreck his car for him regular, according to him.
Yeah.
Regular family arguments on who done what damage.
I mean, is now the time for us to discuss your love for ladies racing while we're talking about your sister?
Oh, I love ladies racing. I love it.
So when we are, obviously we come to Border Counties a couple of times a year, most years now, if we're fortunate enough. At the drivers' talk, can you just remind me what it is you refer to the ladies racing as?
It slipped my mind. I can't remember.
Petrol.
Something like that, isn't it? Yeah.
Petrol
wasters. Maybe.
Petrol wasters. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Obviously, that is the view of Lance and not the view of Anthony Ross, NASChat director.
Yeah.
And you also seem to have a similar fondness for the stock hatch.
Oh, the scrap hatches. Yeah.
No, actually, it's always taken in the way you intend it when you deliver your drivers' meetings.
What I like about ladies racing, and I sort of something I only cottoned on to in these later years as being chairman.
Get ready to edit this, Pete.
And so they're the best biters when it comes to banter. I've obviously been in a workshop, you've always had banter with your mates, but obviously picking on the ladies racing in the last couple of years, it's been like a whole new field of entertainment for me. And I found like Nicola, Jessie, Claire Beresford now, she is brilliant.
Yeah.
And they like to give it back, but if you don't react, it's not as fun. And it's just, it's just opened me up to a whole new audience of people.
And are you making a comparison between that and stock hatch?
Well, they don't always bite as well. They take it too serious.
I mean, to be fair, stock hatch obviously predominantly started up in the north.
Yeah.
But you guys down West Midland League particularly, I mean, you have got a lot of stock hatches down there now.
Yeah, there's a few.
So there's been contention over it over the years, but there must have been an opening for it because it's successful.
Stock hatch frustrates me. I like the concept. I think it's great. And in 2002, 2003, what they've done with the rules was great. What frustrates me with stock hatch, and whether people like it or not, it's not moved on. Why are we now not using Mini Coopers, Hyundai i10, stuff that's in scrapyards, 1600 Focuses? This is where stock hatch frustrates me.
Oh, right.
People think I don't like stock. It's not that I don't like stock. I think the concept's great. What frustrates me is using a 25 or 30-year-old car.
Yeah. And while we're striving to progress other classes.
Class 2 is no different, is it? That frustrates me as well. We're using, if people don't know what you class 2, we're using the K10 Micra. Well, that come in 1999, and we kicked out the Mark II Escort to bring it in. That was finished in 1980, so we're 19 years ahead now. And now the car that finished in 1993, 30-odd years later, is with no further when we were in 99.
So you heard it here first, everyone. The world has been put to rights.
Yeah, exactly.
So, obviously, Dad and Katie shared for a while. Your career started in the juniors in the late 80s, late 90s.
Yeah.
Mine started in the late 80s. So you started in the late 90s. Obviously, minis only then.
Minis only, 14 minis,
And you was, based on the time frame. So you would have been a 12-year-old junior though.
No, 14.
14.
And the 12-year-olds. So I waited 14 years for the 12-year-olds to come popping in the next year. And I was like,
we discussed this recently with one of our junior drivers, with Andy Holtby regarding the juniors, because poor old Troy waited till he was 12.
And then Max
joined him at the same time when it went to 10. So based on that, before we get into sort of your career, what do you feel? What do you feel about that? Is 10 the right age?
I don't. Yeah, for some maybe. I do look at some 10-year-olds. Some parents don't always start their kids at 10. Some kids are probably at 10, bigger, raring to go, bred into it. Second generation, third generation racers are probably more up to it. The parents have got an understanding of the car. They probably animate fields. It's hard for a 10-year-old to walk off the street into it, but
Yeah.
not impossible.
But if you brought up with it, I mean, if you use, we'll go back to when it first went to 12, which obviously affected you. But you were unfortunate that when you was a 14-year-old junior, they opened it up to 12-year-olds.
Yeah, and
you
in
had the
comes
likes of Phil Cooper,
Richard Allenson,
Rich Allenson, bless him, and a few other, your young lad, and you was surrounded by again another lad we lost to, young Tarek Cornell, really fast kids, young kids,
Tom Boardman,
who obviously went off touring car racing.
We used to say, me and Tom would have started together,
So obviously, 97, you moved into the men's a couple of years later because you only had a short junior career like me.
99, end of 98, the old man took me car off me, or took my engine out because I technically didn't own the engine. That went back to either Russell or my sister. I think they had it, who was in the juniors.
Yeah.
And it was like, got to sort of February that year. Oh, there's a Mini around the back we rescued off the road. If you take that engine out of that and put it in that old shell around there, you can race. And
so it was class 1 for you.
Class 1, not yet. And it was like, the Venice Still man, at the time I probably resented him a little bit for it, but now I look back and it's the best thing ever happened. So when I turned 16 and left juniors, that was it. He was done. No more paying. But I could use the garage, I could use his tools, I could use the weld and stuff like that, and I keep it in his house, and he'd help me get it to the meetings before I could drive.
So my relationship with my dad was a little bit different. My dad took my junior off me. I won the fastest junior on grass in 89. That was my junior accolade. Now, I was fortunate enough, and I still remain the only driver to win the fastest junior on grass and the fastest man on grass.
Oh, right.
And I got given an award for that a couple of years ago, and it wasn't a statistic that I
thought about,
had acknowledged, but they did it lovely, and I still have the trophy. It's pride of place. Because being from where I'm from, a Lincolnshire lad, fastest man on grass was
a big thing,
massive. And but we had a different relationship, me and my dad. What he did, he told me after he'd sold my Mini, he kept the 240 quid that he got for it, and obviously put it into his racing, and then he didn't let me use his garage. He let me use the piece of dirt outside his garage to get myself a race car ready. And then I think for the last 30 years, I've been sponsoring him.
Yeah, it works out like that, doesn't it? Somehow? But
so obviously you went in, you made the move into men's 1. Yeah. A little bit later into men's 2.
Yeah, I had a bit of, I drove a friend's class 3 in between, who obviously he owned a car and he let me drive it. So I had a couple of runs in that, and that was good fun. Saved up some money, thought, my girlfriend at the time drove Gary Morris's class 2. Gary got this class 2 from somewhere, I don't know where. He dragged it out of the Gloucester hillside. Would have been a Vauxhall Nova at the time, 1300 Nova. A girlfriend at the time, she had a go in it, rolled it over. I was like, right,
you okay,
yeah. So we own a class 2 then, which is okay in it really. And so then obviously got another shell, built up, had a couple of years in it. Like the technical side of class 2, because they're good. They spend a lot of time on brakes and gearboxes and chasing bits, which is good.
I got intrigued. So through my great late mate, Nige Thompson. So Sean, his son, was racing in class 2. It's all about carburetors and manifolds, isn't it? Like,
love it, don't they?
So obviously you guys own it. So it's now a front wheel drive class. It used to be, it was all Mark II Escorts back in the day and Starlets and stuff, wasn't it? And then it changed, it mixed up for a couple of years, and then it was made front wheel drive. So it's like the standard 1300cc class.
Standard.
And for a good while, it was dominated by Novas with the longest inlet manifold the world has ever seen.
Yeah.
With an SU carburetor, or
you could jet in the car. It was that far away.
Yeah. You could put the choke on from here. And people tried everything, and we tried half of a Weber, half of a side draft, half of a down draft, and then we went airbox technology. Now, rule of thumb. Again, I like to do these little technical insights. I like to pretend I'm knowledgeable. Rule of thumb, if you look at a MotoGP bike, or you look at particularly a 125 old MotoGP bike, it's all about the airbox, undisturbed air. So how much air you can get after the air filter. And rule of thumb, technical, right? You should have 1 litre per 100 cc's.
Of air.
Yeah. So on a 125, that's easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just a
1
litre and a bit.
Yeah.
But on a 1300, it becomes slightly problematic.
It's a big airbox.
Yes. So me and Nige Thompson decided we're going to make a 13-litre airbox for this Nova. Well, when you looked under it, it looked like something out of the Fast and the Furious. You couldn't see the engine. It had this full aluminium bonnet scoop airbox that was obviously... And the filter was down in the headlight. but we had all this undisturbed air. We actually found something. And Sean only told me a few weeks ago, he said, oh, my mate's still got that Nova with the airbox on. But honestly, I think I probably spent 40 hours manufacturing this aluminium air. But when you look, there's some guys in the Class 2 job, and if I may refer to names, I don't think I'm going to hurt anyone's feelings by it. Your Tim Harbour is a prime example from your neck of the woods.
The classic man's still Paul Gillard, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
if anybody
Paul's
can make
did
a
have a 2 litre 16 valve in it.
If anybody can make a manifold, though, Paul can make a manifold. He'd have like 900.
I remember doing the rallycross event when we did the rallycross event at Blighton, and Paul Gillard overtook me in his Class 2, and I was in my Class 8, and he passed me in a straight line. It was the fastest Class 2 I've ever seen. But for ingenuity, and he did quite a bit with Alpha and Mayers.
Oh, he went on board and he went holidays to Italy and all sorts.
But like really cool. But Class 2s is a 1300 front wheel drive class that's supposed to be standard, now dominated by
Nissan
a K10 Micra, which you won't get one newer than a 92.
Yeah.
So they're pretty old hat, but they've got these things making decent horsepower. Absolutely rev their beans out of them, don't they?
Yeah.
And it's still a really cool class, really competitive class. But I don't think, does it miss? And this is a question. Does it miss? Because Class 2 was effectively stock hatch.
Yeah.
So does it miss that now? And
that's where
because there's some dollars in them.
Yeah, well, I was shocked years ago when we were doing some national scrutiny in 2015, and it was at the end of the meeting, I was chairing the meeting, and a lad turned around and told me, so I got £11,000 in that Class 2. And I was like, wow. And then he told me how much his shockers were, and I thought, well, I've got three-way shockers on my car, cost me less than that. Yeah. So they got some money, and the boys are putting some time into it.
Well, myself and you have a mutual friend in our shocker guy.
Yeah.
So obviously me and you are a lover of the Fox shocks, aren't we? And in 2011, it surprised me to know, obviously, out of the 10 classes that was at the Nationals,
he won 9 finals.
He won 9 finals.
Yeah.
And the only reason he didn't win 10 was because you wasn't allowed him in Class 1.
Yeah.
I didn't even know, all the years I'd known Paul Jones and the Fox shocks and the ProLinks product, and I never knew that he even did Class 2 stuff and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Lloydie Morgan and they were, there's a lot of them around, but they've got some fancy shocks on there. They're probably not what they should be. This is where the stock hatch, they got away from the stock hatch, and that's where the need for stock hatch came in. Yeah, really, because they let Class 2 get out of control. And
the hardest thing with a sport like Autograss is bringing it back. Yeah. Now, I am, and you know this of me, and I think anyone else that knows me knows this of me, I'm all for development. We made for me, we made one error back in, I'm going to call it the early 2000s. It was probably earlier for a lot of cars because there were some notable cars like Roger Bowen's BDGs. Now, I've no objection to the BDA, the BDG, none of that. We should have stopped fuel injection all those years ago. Now, I like progress, and I'm into my injection. I was one of the first guys running the standard management on a Hayabusa.
Yeah.
I've even manufactured my own throttle bodies in the past, and all manner of stuff. But that would have controlled grass track racing. Ignition only and carburetors, we'd all be under control.
Obviously, given some of my other background, that's where we've been before, and it does control it because you can control the ignition box. And the only thing is, you got variation. Grassing's unique with its variation of cars that you can have. In certain classes, you can basically, as long as you're within safety rules, you can build what you like.
Anything.
And that is a good side of it. But but definitely in the lower classes, I think more restriction maybe would have helped. And obviously the classes we're on about, which have got expensive, though, are carburetor classes, aren't they?
They are, yeah, true story.
They're not costing the money. I think the scared of the later technology in stock hatch is what's holding it back now.
Well, it's always going to be a problem to police, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because, as we get into ECUs, and I think F600 has become a prime example of this now. All of a sudden, these guys are starting to, I think the rule is like the engines have to be like 13 years old, or older.
Yeah.
So as they've started to get into the 2011s, 2012s, well, yourself from your bike engine experience.
Technology's moving on,
Yeah, you can plug in them ECUs and you can switch it on or turn it off, move this, move that. So there's 2 ways to go about this. We embrace it and allow them to do it and maybe just come up with an RPM restriction, or we have to stop it dead. And it's really... Now, the funny thing about F600s is some of the fastest cars in the class are the carburettor cars.
Right.
But you see, if you was making a case in point, from a technical perspective, because the engines are going back all the way from 1992 Kawasaki's right up till 2013 Suzuki's, let's say, there's 70, 80, I did the maths a couple of years ago, 70, 80 engine variations you can use in that class.
There'll be a popular one, though, won't there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the last couple of years...
Hence the Nissan Micra in class.
Absolutely. So it's a case of, there's still lads making them J Kawasaki's work, and then there's lads like your guys, the Bradfords, who are making the latest Suzuki
they're on the
work.
latest,
With ECU flashing, it's so difficult, to police. It's one of them, how do you go about that?
I would, if it was me, I would probably look at having a dyno, maybe like the circuits have done it. Rob, with a dyno, do they put them on, set the horsepower?
I know there's been a bit of this going on recently with the new Concept Junior Special car. They've been testing the Toyota Yaris, then they've gone to an Igo, and I think now there's the little Ford Fiat engines being tested. Because we're running out of 8-valve Vauxhalls, of course. Yeah,
which were built in 1992.
Yeah. Again, if I was to throw my hat in the ring, there's plenty of 16 valves that followed them. Yeah. There was a Vauxhall route, but there's other options. So I know they've used that. My issue with the dyno testing thing, and F600 did do an element of this before they became a full NASA class. My issue is dyno brings variation, so it's all got to be done same day, same dyno, same temperature. So it's got to be quality controlled.
Yeah.
But there's too many of us.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Autograss racing, and again, an insight for the guys at home. I sometimes exaggerate the numbers a little bit. I know we have been over 4,000 members. Currently, 3,686
it will be
racing members.
There'll be 4,000 by the end of the year, won't there? And there'll be 2,000 cars out there, won't there? Like
So it's massive. If we go to Formula One stock cars in the UK, which we always refer to the other oval formulas, 50. National Hot Rods, something you're involved with or been involved with. How many?
80.
80 National Hot Rods, So we're talking, you're policing 80 cars at National Hot Rods, and we're trying to police essentially 3,000.
Yeah, their formulas just like classes like we have, though, isn't it? It's, and different rules, different classes. It's a hard thing to do, but I'm the other way. I think we need to embrace the technology somehow, or find some way of letting it in, because the cheapness is going to be... I still believe that we should be able to have a nice cheap car. And I'm not saying stock action class 2s aren't cheap, maybe in relative terms now, in financial situations. They're not expensive, but it's, you don't want to lose. I don't want to lose the people who are at the base of the sport. The
club element.
The boys who come and put the posts in, put the meetings on, do the marshalling, do the work. Yeah.
Well, that is the magic of Autograss, isn't it? And if we do lose that, and you lose your base level membership, because... Again, if we go back, we talk about this all the time, the British Autograss Series, the National Championships, the UK Autograss Championships very often gets overlooked as like a lower tier thing. But I tell you what, to make this whole job work, without the UK guys that are willing to stay home when their colleagues are off doing the BAS, there wouldn't be any racing that day at all. There would just be one event on.
Yeah.
So you've got to. There's a lot of areas and angles that need to be covered all the time to make this job work, isn't there?
Yeah, a lot of factions to it.
So thank you all for joining us on another edition of the NASChat podcast. We've been spending a little bit of time with the one and only Lance Bowen, but anybody that knows Lance knows that Lance can tell a story. So you're going to have to join us again to finish the story with Lance in part 2. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, leave your comments in the box below, and any questions you have for future guests, drop them down there and we'll address them as they come.